I think this show is about telling the lost stories of this like group of people, especially like during the punk rock rise, you know, in the late 80s and the 90s. Like a lot of these, like Johnny was like a normal, like a person who was probably living in LA, you know.
This is a very contemporary show, but we are keeping it true to the time period, which is 2004. But you know, the troubled youth of 2004 is very similar to, you know, our generation today. I think that something that's interesting is back then there wasn't this weird kind of communication that we have today via social media and texting and calling and stuff like that, but there was definitely, we were on the rise of those certain things, and I think that's what the opening number, what the title of the show talks about, is how we're kind of, how even them back then were being kind of like consumed and boxed in by all this media and these things that are kind of weighing us down.
Yeah.
So
I mean, no matter what the year, there's always those things that always seem to pop up, like addiction and media and self-doubt. And
this is even more relatable, I think, because this is a time that we lived through, and the rock music, I think, is more a part of us in this show.
This show also comes from an existing album, the Green Day album, so it's kind of like putting story with the like album that people know and love. So there are certain iconic moments that we have to make sure we get right.
Oh yeah, I just remember in like elementary school, the American Idiot album dropping, and me having like my like single like disc CD player, being like, "Mom, I know they curse a lot, and I know that it's about drugs and sex and all this shit, but like, I want it."
Well, it's funny because when you listen to the show and you don't think you've heard all the Green Day songs, like you have heard all the Green Day songs.
Yeah, you have.
And you're like, oh, I know exactly what that is, but I don't remember where I've heard it, or I don't remember actually sitting down and listening to it.
Right.
It's kind of like just reminiscent in the back of your head. So you're like, oh, I do know this.
Yeah.
Because this is punk rock, there's a lot of stuff that we do that sounds like screaming, and so we did have to work on you know, our vocal health, especially the weeks leading up to rehearsal, and even within rehearsal, we try to mark as much as we can and really keep our voices healthy so that it's not too taxing.
We have such a supportive creative team. This show is a monster. I mean, I don't think a show could pack more into an hour and a half than American Idiot. I don't think so. Emotionally, physically, vocally, it's insane.
We rarely leave the stage, and it's pretty exhausting.
we do conditioning and we do all that stuff.
There's a lot to it.
Yeah, it's like,
it's all great.
It's hardcore. It's like boot camp.
Yeah.
It really is.
Physically and emotionally.
We all really have to communicate with each other and listen to each other and be really supportive because we're moving these huge set pieces with people on them. And like, so we all have to know what's going on and like who's gonna lock the platform and who's gonna be on the stairs, and it's created a way that we're really working well together because everybody knows what's at stake. So if one person forgets something, then the next person is there to fix it.
The show, I mean, there's a lot that you have to fill in plot-wise and character-wise, which has been a really wonderful challenge.
And also not just playing one emotion. You have to tell the story in the song, and it's not just about being angry. You have to be angry for a reason. Who are you fighting against? Like, you really have to have your other in this situation, and really have to know like what you're fighting for. Even if you are an ensemble member, you are contributing to the story. So, yeah.
And also, when cast as an ensemble as a freshman, I was like, oh, I'm going to get to learn so much from the upperclassmen and just watch them work and like support and stuff. But we are on for, I think we're on for what I'd say easily 80% of the show. Even if it's moving a platform, Michelle, the choreographers talk, and Aaron, the director, talk so much about making sure you have a reason, and kind of what you touched on, just tracking your own journey, even if they're not like, Gerard is feeling this way, or Libby is feeling this way, you have to make sure you're doing every single thing with a purpose and an intention, not to just please yourself, but to make sure the audience is like, this is a person, this is not just a moving platform.
I'm the patron saint denier with an angel face and a tasteful suicidal.
This my favorite one that I'm in, and like kind of my favorite from like a theatrical point of view, is actually my most calm song, Last Night on Earth. It's a duet, well, three-way duet, I guess, with me and two of the female leads. But it's like me speaking through him, and like it's one of the songs,
cool.
When I listened to Green Day as a kid, I hated it because it's slow and it's not angsty and punk and you can't bang your head to it. But then in the show, it's like,
I would say What's Her Name, just because like dramatically and vocally, it means so much to Johnny, because it's the point in the show where he like finally forgives himself. And you know, we've always been there. You know, we've always looked back into a point of our lives where like, oh my God, why did I do that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then eventually, like, you're like, no, like, I did that because now I'm standing right here.
Well, we have a duet in the show called Too Much Too Soon,
I like
and our
to do that.
characters are kind of like acting as the voices of Heather and Will. And so that's kind of fun because we get to like kind of fight with each other on stage a little bit.
Literally.
And she gets to show off her like riffing chops, which is really cool.
And I get to punch him in the gut. I also really like doing the Jesus of Suburbia medley, because there's like a lot of just being us on stage and doing things that you would do at a 7-Eleven, and then there's like really like amazing choreography, and it's a lot of fun.
I think there's, for different reasons, I think American Idiot is just gonna be a stamp. Yeah, the opening number is gonna be like this is what you're in for. Let's hope we don't give it all away too soon, but this is what you're in for. But Extraordinary Girl is going to be extraordinary, I hope. And I think they're gonna take away from the aesthetic of it and what's going on with it.
Yeah. I think Letter Bomb is going to be a really amazing number because, you know, earlier in the show we do Favorite Son, and all the girls are all dressed up and, you know, almost kind of sexualized in a way, and then we get to do Letter Bomb and really just be like, no, like we are strong, and like it's awesome that all of the women in the cast are represented in such an amazing light in that number, and we're so strong, and the music is just amazing, and the vocals are amazing, so yeah, that's going to be an amazing number.
It's a show that if you've never seen a musical before but you like Green Day, you'll probably come see this. And if you've never listened to Green Day before but you like musicals, you might listen to Green Day after it, which is kind of cool. So like Green Day is the draw in for non-theater people, and then it's also kind of like
The takeaway.
yeah, for people who just like the theater. So it's definitely like a young demographic that listens to Green Day, which is perfect on a college campus.
And it's really fun.
Yeah,
It's like a really
it's
fun
fun.
show.
I mean, it's like a concert. Like,
Yeah, it's
you
like-
know,
it's a
we're
rock concert.
headbanging and
Yeah.
sprouting. Like
It's great.
It's fun. You know.